We should think about how the world has evolved, how the problem is evolving, and how we are changing.
So Alexander, today we'll be taking a look at a meeting that happened in July with the Green Cross and the Geneva Environment Network, and this was discussing the efforts to eliminate chemical weapons worldwide. So can you give us an overview of the outcome of the meeting?
Well, I would say it's a very painful issue, and for me also painful issue, because though I am proud with what has been done in that area by the Green Cross during the last couple of 2 decades. At the same time, I have a feeling of missing the target, because actually we are always trying to struggle with the problems from the position of yesterday. What I mean is that we are talking about elimination of chemical weapons. We have succeeded with the elimination of chemical weapons in Syria. Not all, but let me say the stocks that belonged to the government, to the state of Syria. But at the same time, this evolved now to an absolutely new problem, because the world transforms. The nation states are losing traction with reality to a certain extent, because the risk society or the risk world we live today presents totally new challenges to the world. And the nation state is based on a contract between the state and the citizens. State takes care of the security of the citizens. Citizens are delegating some of their freedoms to the state in order to achieve that situation. There is a balance. But today, when you look at terrorism, what happened in Paris, what happened in Brussels, in Germany, it happens every day in Afghanistan, Pakistan, in all these countries which are not in the limelight for us living in Europe, but it happens on a larger scale. That demonstrates that the states cannot fulfill their part of the contract. They cannot take the security, they cannot provide the security of the citizens. Why I'm saying that? Because chemical weapons can be used now by non-state actors. And that's one of the biggest problems, which will be becoming bigger and bigger in the future. Of course, there are still certain amounts of chemical weapons in the possession of the states. There is a much bigger issue, the stockpiles which were lost or dumped in the sea, for instance. Tens of thousands tons are dumped in the sea. And it awaits its solution. Even I can tell you, it's not a big secret, though nobody seems to know about that. The stockpiles were dumped on the territory of Russia, United States, and there is an area in downtown Washington where there were where the chemical weapons was buried. Now there are about 1,000 nice buildings, high-rises on top of this dead, let me say, space. Or that's a tremendous problem. So I think that we should be doing much more, and we should be doing on the chemical weapons, and generally with the current risks that we are facing today. We should deal it in an absolutely new way. We should think about how the world has evolved, how the problem is evolving, and how we are changing. That should be the basis of the approach.
And you're right that it is an extremely extraordinary problem. So I wanted to focus a little bit more on Syria. So the United Nations Environment Programme have said that they are set to complete eliminating all chemical weapons in Syria. Now, this seems like a massive, large challenge to complete this task. What will the positive impact be if this is completed?
Well, first of all, I must say that what was done in Syria in terms of elimination of the known stockpiles, registered stockpiles, was exemplary. It was done technically impeccable. It was done very well. I think it was, of course, thanks to the technology which was provided by the United States. I mean, the ship on which it was done. Then, of course, all the international cooperation, obviously, without the consent of the key stakeholders in this process, it wouldn't have been possible. Then, of course, the role of the United Nations and particularly UNEP in this process, which was first time consulting in direct contact on this kind of specific project. And I think that creates a very important model for the future, how to approach to these issues. At the same time, we should not be too satisfied with that, because obviously there is a known stockpiles of chemical weapons, and we can do something about that. But there are weapons or chemical substances that could be used as a weapon, which have been already spreading to non-state actors.
Well, Alexander, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your insights.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to have you. Well, that's all from us here in the Geneva studios, but for all the latest updates and exclusive market moves, do keep clicking back to Długoskopy TV.